Why do some good men cheat? The answer is that good men only cheat or think about cheating when they have been emasculated and deprived of love, affection, and appreciation. Hello, I'm Karen Seitz, and this is the Happy Wife School. This podcast is for married women to realize that we are responsible for our happiness, that no one and no thing can make us happy, and that our husbands are not the source of our unhappiness. In each episode, I red pill married women to know that we are the problem in our marriages to good men. For the good men, this podcast will wake you up to the realities of your wife's woman ways, to take back the power you've unknowingly given away to her emasculation in a constructive, caring way. Before we dive into today's episode, a couple reminders. My message is meant for common and usual marital issues. My podcast is not intended for abusive, violent, or compulsive behaviors in a marriage that are threatening or dangerous. Also, please take a second to visit my website and learn more about my courses, which offer solutions for married women and good men. You can find the link in the description below. With all that being said, let's get started. How to prevent your husband from cheating. So I am talking to the women today who are here, married to good men that are hardworking, reliable, love their wives, want their wives to be happy. You know if you are married to a good man or not. And if you are married to a good man and you are scared about him cheating or stepping outside the marriage, then this episode is for you, because I'm going to teach you our woman way of how we push a good man to cheat and why we want that, so that we can be honest with ourselves. I'm going to teach you the nature of a good man and why it's important to understand that if this is something that you are scared of. And then later in the show, I'm going to give you 3 ways to make sure and guarantee that your husband, as a good man, never cheats. So the reason I want to talk about this today is that this is a very common fear for married women. It's a fear that I used to have early on in my marriage. It is a fear that I see very common in the women that I work with. And the reason that we have this fear, and it's a common fear for married women who are married to good men who we're going to talk about, it's not in their nature to cheat. The reason that we have that fear, 2 main reasons. One has to do with our own insecurity in ourselves and our own lack of confidence in ourselves, that we begin to worry about that happening because we don't have the security in ourselves that that's not going to happen, and feeling okay in ourselves and feeling secure in our marriages, which we create that security. And number 2, the other reason that this is a common fear for married women, one of our woman ways is living on the fence, thinking the grass is greener somewhere else. We never made a deep emotional commitment in our marriages, so we live in our marriages with 1 foot in and 1 foot out. We don't want to know that. We don't want to be exposed for that in ourselves. So our defense mechanism is to project onto our husbands that they're on the fence, that they're thinking of other women, that they're potentially going to cheat and leave or step outside the marriage. What's really important for us to understand as women married to good men is that good men are loyal, committed, and in the marriage for the long term. Their prime motivation in the marriage is to make us happy as women and as wives. So in short, cheating is not something that a good man is thinking about doing in his marriage. It is not in his nature to cheat. It's not the makeup of a good man. A good man is predictable, stable, loyal, committed. When he made his vows and got married, he took them seriously. And he is highly invested in his marriage and in his family. So it's not something that he is looking to blow up and turn upside down and create that kind of chaos and drama in his life and his wife's life and his kids' life, that he's not willing to take that risk. So the question is then, why? Why do some good men cheat? The answer is that good men only cheat or think about cheating when they have been emasculated and deprived of love, affection, and appreciation. Good men only cheat or think about cheating when they have been emasculated and deprived of love, affection, and appreciation. And part of how I know this is that I've worked with men throughout the years whose wives have actually told them, I'm not interested in having sex anymore. Please feel free to go outside the marriage and have sex elsewhere because I'm not interested. And a good man can't or won't do it because it's just not in his nature. The truth is that a good man has to have been so crushed and weakened by the emasculation, by the deprivation of love, affection, and appreciation, that he has become very vulnerable and susceptible to women who prey on vulnerable married men. It's his weakened state from the emasculation, from the deprivation of affection, appreciation, and love, that he becomes susceptible to a woman preying on him, and he has a moment of weakness, and that's how he strays. Again, in other words, in general, a good man will not go out and seek another woman. It doesn't mean that that can't happen, that he can get to a point where he's been so pushed away, so beat down, that he does fall vulnerable to that human temptation. But it's much less common that a good man is actively going to go out and seek an affair or sex with another woman. He becomes susceptible to a woman preying on him. And there are women who prey on married men that they know are unhappy in their marriages and vulnerable to an affair. And two main reasons that a woman will prey on a married man. One is because there's no risk, because he's married and maybe has a family. So there's no risk. If she doesn't want to commit, then she can have the affair and walk away when she wants to. Or number two, good men who are weakened in their marriage and unhappy in their marriages and have been emasculated by their wives are an easy target for some women to win them over as part of their cash out plan, that they're looking for a good man that can provide a sense of financial security. And they see a weakened, unhappy good man who's been emasculated in his marriage and is unhappy with his wife as an easy target to win them over and have a cash out. The key here is that a good man is so invested in the marriage, he's so invested in the kids, that they're not looking to blow the family unit up, that they are so committed to, that they've created and invested in. Whereas unlike women, we feel entitled to go looking for our happiness outside the marriage when our husband isn't providing us the feelings of romantic love that we feel entitled to. and we are unhappy in the marriage and blame our husbands and feel they're making us unhappy, and we deserve someone else who can make us happy, that we're so selfish and only think of ourselves, that the right guy comes along and we're sitting on the fence, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and we don't even think about the consequences of stepping outside the marriage or having an affair or leaving the marriage for another man. We're not thinking of our kids. We're not thinking of the destruction that that's going to cause in our lives and our husbands' lives and our kids' lives, because we're so entitled and so living in that universe of one that we can only think of ourselves. So another key piece that we have to be honest with ourselves about, and this is critical if you're a woman listening, this is a red pill moment, meaning this is a moment to slow down and see something about yourself as a woman that you have hidden and suppressed and are unconscious to. That if you are worried about your husband cheating, or that's been a theme throughout your marriage and your own insecurity, we must be honest with ourselves that hidden and suppressed within us, and in that worry of our husband's cheating, is that we actually want our husbands to cheat. Part of our end game in emasculating our husbands, weakening them, making them feel wrong and bad within themselves, withholding sex, withholding affection, withholding genuine love and care, is that we're so unhappy in the marriage and can't see that it is our own unhappiness, that we have to create a scenario to be able to blame our husbands and make them the problem because they're such good men. And we can't find a real and valid reason of why we're so unhappy, and they're the one to blame for why we're so unhappy. We have to create a problem to be able to validate that within ourselves. So secretly, and sometimes not so secretly, we actually want our husbands to cheat. So we treat them in a way where they will stray. And that's where our coldness and distance and withholding of sex, withholding of affection comes in. And part of it is that it being the perfect victim card, the perfect circumstance that we can point the finger out and blame our husbands for why the marriage didn't work, why the marriage isn't working, is one, if a woman is living on the fence and thinking the grass is greener somewhere else, wanting a way out of the marriage, but not having a way out of the marriage, if she pushes her husband to the point of cheating, it is her perfect get out of the marriage card that everyone will support her in and say, you have to leave. It's unacceptable. It's the ultimate betrayal. And so she'll be validated. Or if we get our husbands to cheat, then we can stay disengaged in the relationship and feel entitled to not be engaged in the relationship because our husbands cheated. And it's the ultimate card we can pull out of our back pocket anytime we want. Well, I'm not doing this for you because you cheated on me. Or I'm not doing this anymore because you cheated on me. I have a right to be moody and distant and withdrawn from you. You cheated on me. And we can essentially use it as the card of doing anything we want to do within the marriage because we hold the ultimate card of, well, you cheated on me. Part of understanding if you're a woman who worries about your husband cheating, you want to be honest with yourself about how you want him to cheat and what are the actions and behaviors you have within the relation to push him in that direction. as I often say, not to make yourself bad and wrong, but to be honest with yourself so you can catch your part and role and do your best. So you can say, that's not who I want to be. Why would I want to do that? That doesn't make any sense. So I have to catch that in myself. And then how do I need to be showing up in the relationship as opposed to cold, distant, emasculating, manipulative, unkind? What do I need to change in my behaviors? How do I need to be showing up in the relationship so that I don't weaken my husband to the point where there's a possibility that he would stray or that he would cheat? And that's really the purpose of all my videos, all my content, all my messaging is, what can I change within myself to make the marriage the best it can be? Because I'm married to a good man. So if I'm being the best I can be and just treating him kindly and with care and love, we can have a healthy marriage because he's a good man and he's committed and loyal to the relationship. He wants us to be, or wants you to be happy. He wants the marriage to work. So we have to look at our part and role, and it's the same with cheating. And we want to take our hands off. That's not up to me, but we have to see we can make a man vulnerable and susceptible to straying outside of the marriage by how we are showing up. So where we want to go next is looking at what is it in the relationship that will push a good man to cheat? How are we showing up? What are we not providing in the relationship? The love and appreciation and affection that could push a good man to cheat. So what is it about the lack of love and appreciation in a marriage that we need to look at as women? Because as wives, as women, we don't feel the obligation to do anything to show our genuine love and appreciation to our husbands. And it is the lack and deprivation of love, affection, and appreciation in a marriage that can push some good men to cheat. It's the absence of the genuine love, care, and appreciation that a good man will stray. And so we have to look at ourselves as women of how we're showing up in that department, because the truth is we don't feel the obligation to do anything to show our husbands genuine care and genuine love and affection in the relationship. So let's look a little bit at why. Why don't we feel that obligation to show our love and affection to our husbands? And the truth is that good men in their nature, they go along to get along. They're very resilient and bounce back after conflict and arguments in the relationship. They, for a period of time, can bounce back quickly from the withholding. They can bounce back quickly from how their wives are treating them. And they regroup and they re-engage in the relationship. They don't hold grudges. They can easily sweep things under the rug and just keep going without any consequences for their wives' behaviors. And that's just the nature of a good man. They're doing everything they can, jumping through all the hoops, because all they want is for us to be happy. And when we're miserable in the relationship, always telling them how they're making us unhappy, what they need to change, the next goalpost that they need to jump through to make us happy that never does, that they strive and work so hard to make us happy and do the things they need to do and bounce back and not hold grudges because of our unhappiness. And what happens for us as women, because a good man's always there, he's always re-engaging in the relationship, always doing what he thinks he needs to be doing to make his wife happy and show up and be reliable and be stable and be predictable, is that as women, we take that for granted and don't think that we need to do anything to show our love and affection because our husbands are always there and we never have any consequences for our behaviors. So we don't even consider or think we need to do anything to put anything back into the relationship and keep it going, because we take our husbands for granted and we expect them to just be there because that's who they are. And in this, because they're always there, because they're always showing up and just keep going, we don't think that our husbands feel the lack of love, affection, and appreciation in the marriage. They're so resilient and keep showing up, we don't think they feel anything, that they don't notice. They don't feel the lack of gratitude for who they are and what they do, or they seem fine. They're still going in their relationship, so it must not matter, and they don't feel it. But the truth is, our husbands feel everything. Good men feel everything. They are attuned to all of the nuances of our emotions, our looks, the verbal and nonverbal clues that we give that they feel completely taken for granted, unappreciated, and unloved. And this can happen in two ways. They absolutely feel and see and experience the overt withdrawal and withholding of our love. They feel the sharpness and cruelty and meanness in our criticisms of them. They feel the distance in the bed when we're sleeping on the very edge of the bed and doing everything to push them away, to not have sex or affection and physical touch. They feel what's really happening there. On the other side of the coin, they feel the shallowness and lack of sincerity in our actions and words. So what that means is that even if you tell yourself, well, I do say thank you, or I do try to show my love and appreciation to him, if it lacks sincerity, he feels it, so it's almost as if it doesn't count. And he almost can't even hear it or let it in. So in other words, as women, we think that we can get away with everything in the marriage and that our behaviors don't have consequences. But what I want you to hear and impart to you, that I've had to learn and continue to have to be in touch with in myself, is that just because your husband bounces back, just because he keeps doing the things to try to make you happy, he keeps providing, and he re-engages, it doesn't mean he does not feel your lack of love and appreciation and affection toward him. He absolutely feels it. And the depth of which that is there in your behaviors and the relationship is where you leave yourself and need to recognize where you push him to potentially stray and cheat. So if you're a woman listening and you're open to being red-pilled, which is my mission here, to see the truth of how we show up so we can change. You want to understand your behaviors and how you're showing up or not showing up in the relationship has consequences, that you have a part and role and you are complicit If you are married to a good man and he goes outside of the marriage, it's not that that's okay or that that's morally acceptable, but you want to know you're complicit in that circumstance in your marriage, and that you don't have control over your husband, but you have control over yourself to show up and do your best and do your part. And being married to a good man, he won't cheat. But if don't feel any obligation and take him for granted and treat him and push him away and treat him in ways that do push him away, then this is the risk you are taking in creating a circumstance where he is susceptible and vulnerable to another woman coming on to him, and he could stray. So where we're going to go next is in knowing what you need to do and how you need to show up in the relationship. Is where we're going next is the 3 ways that men feel loved in a marriage so that they will never cheat. You want to know, again, it is not in a good man's nature to cheat because he's loyal to the family unit. He's committed to his wife. He took his vows seriously. He is not thinking of destroying what he values so much in his life. So if that's true, and it's not in a good man's nature to cheat, how do you get back on track? How do you get back on track from how you have been showing up that you've suppressed and been blind to, that now you can see, so that you can begin to change and show up in a way where your husband never leaves or never cheats? And so in doing this, we're going to get into the 3 ways that men feel loved. And the reason it's 3 ways that men feel loved so that they will never cheat is because as women and men, we're different. So what's important to a man in a relationship and on his top 10 of what's most important to him is going in a marriage is going to be very different than a woman's priorities and what's most important to her, or in her top 10 of what's most important to her in a marriage. So these are the real love languages for men that we need to understand as women. And as I was coming up with this, I ranked myself in each of these, because one of the things that's very important to me and what I teach and what I'm trying to do to support women and support good men is to be what I call a true teacher, that I'm not there, that this is a journey for me in my own marriage. And I always want to let you know that I'm a work in progress and I'm working on myself to keep getting better and to be a good wife, because that's my journey in my life and my journey in my marriage that I also hope that you take on for yourself. So as I was going through this, I had my mentor help me so that I didn't fool myself and I could be honest with myself. So as I go through each of these, I'll share where I'm at in terms ranked on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 not doing good at all, 10 doing my best and fully engaged. And I'll share where I am in each of these. So the 3 ways that men feel loved so that they will never cheat. Number 1, regular and engaged sex. The number 1 way that a man will feel loved in a marriage and never cheat is regular and engaged sex. So for this one, and again, with the help to be honest with myself, I'm a 10 in this area. That this is one I've worked on very hard in my marriage to make sure that I'm having regular and engaged sex with my husband and enjoying it for myself, initiating it regularly, not skipping it, and my husband knowing that I enjoy sex with him. That's an area in my marriage I've worked really, really hard and continue to stay very committed to for myself. So in this area, I'm a 10. And for the women listening, you might do the same for yourself. The key is you have to slow down and be really honest with yourself. If you're going to rank, where am I in this department? You want to be really honest with yourself so you can see where you're at and make the improvements you need to make. So what does it mean in engaged sex? Because as I said earlier, a man can feel the shallowness or lack of sincerity in our actions and behaviors in the marriage. So if you're having sex as a checklist and you're not there and disengaged and just waiting for it to be over, you want to know he feels that. You're not getting away with it. You're not fooling anyone. So engaged sex is letting him know that you enjoy sex with him and that you enjoy that time with him, that it's important to you. It also means initiating. Initiating sex with your husband lets him know that you are thinking of him, that you know sex is important to him, and you're showing him that sex is important to you as well, and what's important to him is important to you, and you're taking that into consideration and considering him. That's part of how he feels loved. The other piece is not skipping it or blowing sex off, that even if it's a regular time that you would have sex and say something has happened and you're not in the space, letting him know that and saying, okay, today's not feeling like the right day. When else in the next couple of days would work for you so that we have that time and connection together? That lets him know, oh, she's thinking of it and she knows it's important to me. And that's how he feels loved. Number 2 of how a man feels loved in a marriage so that he will never cheat. Number 2 is respect. Respecting your husband as a man and appreciating him for the contributions that he makes to the family and relationship. And in this, I ranked myself as an 8. That this is an area I do really good, but there are areas in this. So I do a really good job of acknowledging and thanking and appreciating my husband around the house and the things that he does in the relationship. And I need to do a better job of appreciating him and the contributions he makes as an excellent provider and being in a secure career and job, and how much I feel that he does that for me. And that's an area I need to improve in, is actually taking the time to acknowledge my husband in that. So what's really key here in respecting your husband as a man and appreciating him for his contributions is thanking him and appreciating him for specific contributions and tasks that he does. It's the specific that's really, really important. So not just a general, thank you for being a great husband. No, you want to find the specific things he's doing, the specific contributions he's making to you and the family, and appreciate him for those. So for example, I'll share a example from my marriage. I love Christmas lights. So over the holiday season, I was really excited to have lights up. And my husband's been working really hard. And he was like, is it sure it's important to put lights up outside? And I said, I would really appreciate it. And bless him, he just said no problem on it and did an incredible job. And I made sure to let him know, especially throughout the couple weeks that we had lights up, to say, thank you so much for putting the lights up. I know you didn't feel up to it and it wasn't something you really had the energy to do. And I just want you to know how happy I am when I drive up and see the lights on when I get home from work, and just thank you so much. Or he took time to a few weeks ago to use our carpet cleaner and steam clean all the carpets and our mattress and our couch and an ottoman. And I made sure, oh, the carpet feels so good when I walk on it. Thank you so much. Or the mattress just, it's so nice to know how clean it is. Thank you so much for doing that. So it's thanking them for the specific contributions. And then also a reminder in this of, it's really important that you slow down and you are genuine. It's not just let me thank him, check it off the list. It's slowing down in yourself first and letting yourself actually feel your appreciation for him so that comes through when you're specifically or thanking him for specific tasks or contributions. Another example is thank you for being such a great provider and making me feel safe and secure in our marriage because of how hard you work and your abilities to provide for the family and your consistency in it. So it's, again, thanking him and appreciating him for specific contributions. And number 3, and how a man feels loved in a marriage so that he never cheats. Number 3 is showing affection as playful touch. Number 3, showing affection as playful touch. So this is different. This is different than sex. Affection and playful physical touch is its own separate way to show appreciation and love to your husband. That is something in a good way, and him as a good man craves, and how he feels loved. And this is something that in my ranking of myself, this was an area that I need to make some bigger improvements in. That in this, I ranked myself again on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 not doing good at all, 10 doing really well and doing my best. In this one, I am a 5. And this was not as one that I'm not as good with. And I realized that as I was planning this video, and I never slowed down to realize the depth of the importance of playful touch and affection in my marriage. And I had to see and am seeing where and why I'm a 5 in this and not doing as well is because I've made it on my terms. When I'm in the mood to be playful and be touched, that it's only if I feel like it. And if I'm not feeling like it, it's not happening. And that's where I'm a fun vacuum and have a stick up my butt of like, yeah, no, I'm busy. Like I'm cooking. But if I feel like it, then I'm engaged with it. And so this is an area that I need to make some big improvements with, and being at a 5. And one of the things I have to see for myself, and I teach women and need to let in more for me and want to share with women today, is that we have to stop thinking that it's our body and that we have the right to decide when our husband has access to it to be affectionate or not. And that's I should have said trigger warning, because as women, I believe we've been so indoctrinated into the feminist movement of my body, my choice, that we've taken that into our marriage with our husbands as good men, that they don't have free access to come in and give us a hug or grab our butt or, cop a feel. And that's something that's important to them. And of course, as a good man, we're not talking about, some stranger or some creep. You're talking about your husband as a good man. And in that, he's going to be respectful. He's going to be caring, loving, gentle. He's not being a creep. He's being a good man who loves his wife and wants to show affection and have that affection returned. So in a positive way, again, trigger warning, that you want to give the right to your body, to your husband, that it's available to him if he wants to love on you and be affectionate. And again, it will be in a caring, loving, playful way because he's a good man. And I realized in going through this, what a double standard this actually is. Because if you're married to a good man, you have, and we have, free access to their body. They're not going to, if we go, squeeze their butt or want to cuddle or hug on them or be playful and flirty and touch them, they give us free access to their bodies. They're not shirking away or pushing us away or saying, no, not right now, stop. And if they did, we would be so offended, and then they would be in the doghouse of, why am I not allowed to touch you? And you're not letting me touch you. We would freak out. So it's actually a double standard. So this is something that I'm working on, knowing my husband as a wonderful man, that if he wants to be affectionate and be in that a playful touch, to not ever push it away. Because why wouldn't I want that, to create that connection and share myself freely with him the way he shares himself freely with me? And those are the three ways a man feels loved in a marriage so that he never cheats. Number one, regular and engaged sex. Number two, respecting him as a man and genuinely thanking him and appreciating him for his contributions to the family and relationship. And number three, engaging in affection, meaning playful touch. And those could really be coined the three love languages for good men, the real love languages for good men. So now I want to get into a little bit of the solution to women, is that I want you to know, in working on myself in these three areas, as you heard, some where I'm doing much better than other. But I want you to know that it makes you feel good. When you do these things, it's kind of counterintuitive in what I teach and how this all actually works and fits into a marriage. You have to do these things because of who you want to be, the kind of wife you want to be, the kind of woman you want to be, so that you're doing it as a show, not a show. So you're doing it as a expression. There we go. So you're doing it as an expression of integrity and character of who you are, that then your husband and marriage get the ultimate benefit. But showing appreciation, genuine love and appreciation to your husband makes you feel good about yourself as a woman and as a wife, which is the foundation of what I teach of being happy. That you do these things for you because it makes you feel good about yourself, doing your best in a commitment you've made in your life, which is to be a wife. And when we step up to the plate to be a good wife for the expression of ourselves and who we are, that is a key foundation to being happy and fulfilled within ourselves, because it makes us feel really good about ourselves. So rather than having to go out of your way to do these things as an obligation and chore and burden, you want to do them from a sense of who you are and the kind of wife you want to be that makes you feel good about yourself. And so it's like two sides of the coin of being really a dutiful wife, that you can either do that from a place of who I want to be and to show myself that I care about myself and I value myself, and that I care about my husband and I value my husband, which will actually fill you up and energize you and create a vibrancy and aliveness within yourself. rather than being a dutiful wife from a place of I have to and as a checklist, which is actually draining. And that's where we feel like I don't have anything left to give. It's because we're doing it as a checklist, which is better than not doing it at all. But you're still, in talking about preventing your husband from cheating, you're still leaving yourself susceptible and pushing him in that direction by being a dutiful wife by a checklist. So it's really, the solution is stepping up to our commitment that we made as women when we decided to get married and become a wife, and doing these things and showing up and showing love and appreciation to our husbands because of who we want to be. And that happens naturally when we are happy within ourselves, doing the things to feel good about who we are, valuing who we are, caring about who we are. It just becomes an expression of ourselves. So it's effortless because it's just who you are versus who we've created ourselves to be behind our walls and living in camp victim, blaming our husbands, which is not the truth of the expression of who we are as women. And so if this is a path that you want to learn, I encourage you to go check out the link in the description below to my happiness program for women, where I teach women to get out of camp victim into camp take responsibility, so that these ways of showing love to our husband and being a good wife just become a natural expression of who we are when we're connected to ourselves and taking responsibility for our experience. And talking a little bit about the solution for men is that if you are a good man and you're catching that you are having thoughts of straying or cheating in your marriage, and you're choosing to stay in the relationship in spite of who your wife is and as a woman and how she treats you, because for most good men, they took their vows seriously and leaving is not an option. And good men know that if they're staying, that if they go outside the marriage, even if it temporarily makes them feel good because they're getting that love and affection that they're not getting in the marriage, a good man, because of his morals and values, will feel deeply ashamed and bad about himself that he stepped outside the marriage. So it doesn't really truly solve the issue. And so if you're choosing to stay and you don't want to stray, but you find yourself having that temptation, is you want to be crystal clear on the woman way that your wife is intentionally pushing you away to push you to that point to stray. And so when you have that weakness and you're vulnerable and susceptible to that happening, you're going to find it ultimately does not make you feel better, and it gives your power away to your wife, and you're creating the circumstance for her to have that golden victim card. So the key for good men is to not be a victim to your wife's woman ways, to recognize you didn't marry the wrong woman, you married a woman, and we have these issues and problems on a spectrum. So you have to make clear choices about your path in the marriage, knowing what's happening, so that you are not a victim. And you can take your power back to navigate the relationship the best you can. And as a good man. And so you want to find ways to strengthen yourself, to regain your confidence, so that you are not internally weak from the ways your wife has treated you, that you find your strength within that and use her as your greatest teacher to overcome those limitations and weaknesses in yourself, so that you're not susceptible to straying by recognizing your wife is working against you. So it's that decision of I'm not letting her win and giving her that power. So what do I need to do for myself so that I have the fortitude and strength and confidence within myself to navigate the circumstances of my marriage? And for men, there's a greater value that they make that choice, whether it's their kids, which is most often, or their faith in relationship with God, that you have to find that strength and fortitude if you're choosing to stay in the circumstances of your wife withholding to an extent that you might stray, that you aren't going to stray because it won't make you feel good about yourself internally. And that's why we also have a course for good men to find that strength and confidence within themselves to take their power back and to not be a victim to their wife's woman ways and gain clarity on the most likely outcome for their marriage so they're not a victim. And you can find the link to the course below to read up on it, apply for a consultation. And that's a wrap for the first topic of 2026. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. If you haven't, go check me out on YouTube, Rumble, and X. You can find the links in the description below to connect with me there. For those women listening who know you are the problem and want a path forward to take responsibility and change your own inner turmoil and unhappiness, I have a course for women called the Happiness Program, which is the solution to the unhealthy relationship you have with yourself and the issues and challenges you have in your life and your marriage. You can find the link in the description below to apply for a free consultation with me. And for the good men listening who want a solution to take back the power you've unknowingly given away to your wife, I have a course for you too called the Marriage Rescue Course for Good Men Only that teaches you how to rebuild your strength and confidence as a good man so that you can navigate the relationship with your wife in a healthy, constructive way. Again, you can find the link in the description below to apply for a free consultation with me. Thank you again so much for listening, and I look forward to talking with you soon.